Welcome back. Michael Flynn's admission of guilt, a major game changer as special counsel Bob Mueller is narrowing his target on the White House. Trump tweeting out, "I had to fire General Flynn because he lied to the vice president and the FBI. He has pled guilty to those lies. It is a shame because his actions during the transition were lawful. There was nothing to hide." Now, the former national security advisor, now the most senior person charged in the Russia probe from the inner circle here, along with 3 other former Trump campaign officials, as Mueller's team continues to work up the food chain. Attorney General Jeff Sessions testified before the House Intelligence Committee this week. Congressman Mike Quigley offering MSNBC his theory here behind Sessions' "I don't recall" testimonies.
The Attorney General is one of the most forgetful persons who works out of Washington, D.C. and in our nation's history, or he's being less than candid with the American public.
Next up, Don Jr., who has a date with the House Intelligence Committee. That's happening Wednesday. Joining us right now, Frank Figliuzzi, NBC News national security contributor and former assistant director for counterintelligence at the FBI. We also have Kendall Coffee, former federal prosecutor. Kendall, let's start with this on the tweet that came out as we've been covering this hour here from President Trump, now saying that one of the reasons as to why Flynn was fired was because he lied to the FBI. By our understanding, by our scouring in the White House unit, looking very closely at the records and the archives, this is new. We have not heard this before. Your reflection on what this means in terms of the question of obstruction of justice, and then second to this, that John Dowd, the outside counsel for the president, saying the tweet simply paraphrases what Ty Cobb said yesterday.
Well, it's astonishing and ill-advised, another self-inflicted wound by the president himself. I assume what the explanation is going to have to be is that he was just making a recommendation to James Comey when he said, cut this guy loose. And it was like, well, he's suffered enough. He's being terminated in disgrace. And beyond just what Trump said about Flynn is, what is Flynn saying about Trump? He got a mighty sweetheart deal from very tough-minded federal prosecutors, and I don't think that he got that kind of a deal, a plea deal, so that he could tell everybody what a great guy President Trump is.
Frank, your reflection on what we learned from the president today and the FBI, at least via what he is saying, the president?
Look, after 25 years of being an FBI agent, I can tell you this. Agents and prosecutors love it when potential targets of an investigation start talking publicly about the case. And this was very foolish of President Trump, because the day is coming soon when a prosecutor from Mueller's team and an FBI agent are going to sit across from the president and start asking questions. And rest assured now, one of those questions, as of today's developments, is going to be, can you please explain what you meant when you said you knew that Flynn was lying to the FBI? He's totally exposed himself, and it must be driving his defense counsel crazy. Yeah, his defense counsel saying, I told you, don't do this. Saturday, Sunday, doesn't matter what day of the week. Kendall Coffee, as we look at the investigations happening on the Hill, this will now be part of what they will be considering. This is another piece of information, right, Kendall? And as I was mentioning, come Wednesday, Don Jr. Will be there with the House Intelligence Committee. What are you watching in terms of the progress of those investigations and what the Flynn flip, from what we understand, or what some are surmising, I should say, means to those investigations?
Well, I think, just as was alluded to a moment ago, one of the big questions is going to be, will Donald Trump Jr., will others who are speaking under oath run into the same thing that General Flynn and Papadopoulos did, which is false statement? Because at the end of all of this, we still haven't seen clear evidence of a criminal conspiracy with respect to the management of the Trump campaign itself and the Russian government. But what we're seeing is more and more evidence of false statement and obstruction. And at some point, now that we've got Flynn, who's told probably everything he knows to Mueller's team, we may see an interview of the president sometime after the first of the year. And he's going to be asked so many questions, so many details. The other side's going to have so much information. Is he going to be able to navigate that minefield without saying things that they consider to be falsities?
And so, Frank, we have, some might call it the second Papadopoulos special, right? The deal, this very same deal that Papadopoulos got, so did Mike Flynn here in this case. And the question you might remember that we were all discussing at that time, how long ago did that handshake happen with the Mueller team, and in this case with Flynn, and how long potentially had Mike Flynn been gathering information, because potentially that was his deal?
I think that Mike Flynn's been talking about cooperation and actually cooperating longer than we think. This didn't happen overnight, and this guilty plea didn't happen overnight. And even President Trump himself, we now know from yesterday's reporting that he made a statement days ago that he turned on me with regard to what Flynn was doing. He turned on me. So even the president knew that something was shaping up here. And those 4 words, he turned on me, are the words of someone who has something to hide.
Yeah. Kendall, as Rachel Maddow was saying yesterday, when you see these deals, it's normally because you're get bigger fishes than you are. If that's the deal that we're talking about here with Mike Flynn, there are not a lot of people that are bigger fishes than Mr. Flynn is.
Well, it's got to be aiming at this point at Jared Kushner or the president himself. And what I think we're all going to see is a focus on obstruction. And one of the critical things is going to be, did Trump go, for example, to Flynn and say, look, I'm going to make this investigation go away, one way or the other. You sit tight, you be cool. Because if he did something potentially to suppress Flynn in order to keep quiet, and then, of course, spoke to Comey and ultimately fired Comey, that takes him right into the obstruction zone.
Frank, might the Mueller team be thinking, using the fishing analogy here, this might get the president to consider a pardon, and if he were to pardon Mike Flynn, that would actually help his case?
I think they factored this in. I think they have factored in the possibility that the president may start pardoning people, but I also think that that plays into a strategy where, for example, they're prepared to file subsequent state charges on folks. I think that Congress would look at this very hard as obstructing the investigation. I think it might begin impeachment proceedings. So this is all fraught with peril if the president starts moving towards pardons, particularly with regard to Jared Kushner. I think Mueller's totally considered the possibility of a pardon, and I think he's kind of carved Kushner out.
Frank Figluzzi, Kendall Coffee, 2 great legal minds. Thank you both very much for your help on this.
Hey, thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.